let us understand the virus structure. A virus code is such that it can be implemented or attached to other programs in the number of ways. Its main feature is that contaminated program, when executed, will execute virus code in top priority, and then after that it will execute its actual code. The general working of the virus structure is shown in the figure. Here the infected program has embedded the virus code in it. It begins with the function to print the file which it has chosen, perform print job, and then delete all the files and send a copy of it, and then perform close job. Virus code is executed in rapidness, then user will not notice any execution of virus and the normal code. Virus code described earlier can easily be detected because an infected code is lengthier than the actual uninfected code. A way to spoil such attempt to detecting a virus is to compress the executable file so that both the infected and uninfected description are of the same length. Initial infection. Let us understand how the initial infection is done. If a virus has attached itself to a system program or infected a file, then it will contaminate other system or application programs when the first infected program gets executed. To prevent contamination in the first place can be very difficult, as virus can be embedded into a program which is outside of a system. Thus, if a person has written his own system and application program, his machine is vulnerable. Virus propagation can be prevented by blocking all users to modify or change or install any programs in the system or the machine. Now, let us understand viruses classification. There is a continuous war going on in between virus code generators and code generators of antivirus software, such as viruses first appeared. As soon as successful countermeasures are generated for accessible type of viruses, a newer viruses comes into the picture. There is no universally agreed and acceptable classification structure for the viruses. We will discuss about this. First, one is type of file is targeted, and second one is procedure it adopts to hide itself from the user and antivirus programs. In this section, classification of virus is done by following categories. The first one is boot sector infector. It infects a master boot program or boot record or multiply when a system is started from the disk or hard drive enclosing the virus. File infector. It contaminates files or programs that the operating system executes regularly and then spreads to other part of the system. Encrypted viruses. Small portion of the virus generates a random key which encrypts the whole virus code. Key is amassed with the virus code. When infected program is executed, virus uses the same amassed key to decrypt the virus code and to get it executed. Thus, bit of a pattern of the virus cannot be detected. Stealth virus. Here, virus code is clearly designed to conceal itself from recognition from antivirus softwares. Here, virus code is actually hidden. Here, compression techniques is employed so that the infected program and actual program are of the same length and virus code goes undetected. Polymorphic virus. This type of virus mutates its binary code with every replication, making detection of its signature next to impossible. It generates copies during replication that are functionally alike, but have different bit blueprint. Metamorphic virus. Its working is same as the previous polymorphic virus. Here the virus code is rewritten itself entirely after every duplication, making it difficult to detect. Thus, behavior and appearance changes as the time passes by. Macroviruses. Let us understand what is macroviruses. This type of viruses came into the picture in mid 1990s and to this date most prevalent in nature. Threatening features of macroviruses are: the first one, macrovirus codes are platform independent. They easily infect Microsoft Office documents. Any hardware platform or operating system that ropes these submission can be infected. The second one, non-executable part of the codes are infected. Information in the computer system are of the form of document fairly than a code. Number 3 is macroviruses are easily spread by electronic mail or through network communication. Number 4, since macroviruses contaminate documents rather than system or application programs, conventional file system access controls are of incomplete use in averting this increases. Now, let us understand email viruses. It is the most sophisticated type of malicious software. The first email viruses of its kind is named Melissa, made use of a Microsoft Word macro feature. If the receiver unlocks the email attachment, the Word macro sets in motion. Then following things happens. First one, the virus code is sent to the receivers registered in the person mailing list in the user email ID. Then the second one is the virus does some local harm to the user system. In 1999, an advanced version of the email virus came into the picture. Here, virus code can be activated simply by unlocking an email account that contains the virus instead of opening the attachment. The virus code is generally written in Visual Basic scripting language. Antivirus approaches. Now, let us understand what is antivirus approaches are. Movement in the virus and antivirus expertise go hand in hand. Procedures to prevent viruses from propagating is prevent virus in entering into the system in the first place, or block the feature in your machine to change or to modify any files that consist of any executable code or macro structures. This process in general is difficult to accomplish, even though this process will lessen the number of victorious viral assault. The next process is to do the following. The first one in that is the detection. Once the infection has taken place, establish the virus position. Then comes the identification. Once detection has been successfully done, recognize the type of virus that has been embedded into the program. Then comes the removal. Once the type of virus has been identified, eliminate all the virus code from the infected program and reinstate it to its original state. Get rid of the virus from all the infected system, so that the virus does not spread more. Here we classify 4 generations of the antivirus softwares. The first generation is the simple scanner. These type of antivirus programs require virus signature to recognize a virus. They can be used where virus detection is known. The second generation, heuristic scanners. These type of antivirus procedures uses heuristic policy to search the likely viruses infection. It looks for the pieces of code that are often linked with the viruses. For example, they may look for the beginning of an encryption program used in a polymorphic virus and find out the encryption key. Once the key is exposed, the antivirus program will decrypt the encrypted virus code to recognize it and then fix the program and return the program to the service. Third generation, activity traps. These type of antivirus procedure programs are memory resident programs that spot a virus by their event quite than its organization in a contaminated program. The procedure is advantageous as compared to the previous procedures. Fourth generation, full featured protection. This procedure consists of correspondence comprising of a number of antivirus modus operandi used in the combination. These includes activity discussed above, which is scanning and the activity trap mechanism. In addition, they consist of a feature known as access control ability, which confines the skill of viruses to enter a system and then limits the capability of the virus to change files in order to get ahead of the infection. So, this was all about the viruses. Now, we will be talking about worms. A worm is a type of code that makes duplicate copies of itself and send replica of it from machine to machine across network and through the communication channels. Upon onset, the worm may be set off to duplicate itself and spread again. In addition to its spreading, the worms usually carry out some disruptive function as well. An email virus, as discussed above, has similar feature of a worm because it proliferates itself from machine to machine. There is a figure which shows the worm modus operandi. Network worm code use network connection to multiply from machine to machine. Once vigorous, inside a system, a network worm can behave like a virus, as it could embed Trojan horse program or perform a number of troublemaking or harsh actions. We also have a figure which gives you a worm propagation model. To spread easily, a network worm uses some kind of network vehicle, which includes electronic mail facility. In this, a worm copy itself to another machine, so that its code is executed when the email or an attachment is received or viewed by the client. The next one is remote execution capability. In this, a worm replicates a copy of itself on another system, either using a plain remote execution facility or by making use of a program fault in the network service to undermine its action. The next one is remote login capability. In this, a worm enters into a remote system as an authentic user and then uses commands to duplicate itself from one system to other, where then it accomplishes its task. Network worm display the same feature as a computer virus: a dormant phase, a spread phase, a triggering phase and an execution phase. The spread phase generally performs the following functions. Number 1, search for other system to contaminate by probing host tables or address database tables. Second one is set up a secure connection with a distant system. The third one is duplicate itself to the distant system and make sure that the duplicate is to be run. Network worm also scan the system to find out whether the machine is already infected or not. Network worms are difficult to respond to as compared to the viruses. Now, let us understand few types of worms. So, first one is Morris worm. The first generation of worms are designed by Robert Morris in 1988. It was designated for Unix based system and used different type of techniques for proliferation. When a replica began carrying out, its first job was to discover other trusted client known to this machine that would permit admission from this machine. It does this by probing a variety of lists and tables databases, including the system tables, which tells other client machine where confidence by this host, tables by which users give themselves consent for write of the entry to distant accounts and from a program that accounts the status of network connections. After successfully authenticating itself, worm attain communication with the following operating system command interpreter. It then sends short bootstrap programs, question a command to carry out that program. and then logged off. The worm is then implemented. Now, let us understand what is worm propagation model. The pace of proliferation and the total number of hosts contaminated depends on a number of aspects, including the mode of proliferation, the weaknesses or the weaknesses exploited, and the nature of similarity to the previous attacks. In later case, an attack that is having dissimilarity with recent previous attack may be opposed more efficiently than a more new attack. In the early stage, the number of hosts amplify at a higher pace. To see that this is so, worm is infected to a single computer, then it infects near by 2 computers, and then 2 computers infects 2 more computers, and so on. This result in a growth at a very higher pace. After a certain period of time, infected machine misuse some time attacking previously contaminated host, which decreases the rate of the infection. During this middle phase, the expansion rate is just about the linear or a straight line, but the pace of infection is fast. When most defenseless computers have been contaminated, the attack came into a sluggish finish phase as the worm searches out for those leftover hosts which are hard to recognize. Now, let us understand what is worm attacks. Code Red worm, released in July of 2001, is one of the deadliest worm released so far. This worm exploited a security gap in the Microsoft Internet Information Server, which we also call it as IIS, to enter and multiply. It also immobilized the system file checker in the Windows. The worm searches haphazardly IP addresses to multiply to other hosts. It only multiplies for a certain period of time. It then kick off a denial of service attack alongside a government website by flooding the site with packets from various other hosts. The worm then postponed its actions and reactivates sporadically. Code Red infected nearly 360,000 servers in a record time of 14 hours. It created chaos on the servers and guzzle up massive amount of internet capacity and bandwidth and the networking resources. SQL Slammer worm, released in 2003, this worm exploited a buffer overflow weakness in the Microsoft SQL Server. The worm is extremely compressed and it spread quickly, infecting 90% of weak hosts within the first 10 minutes. 2008 saw the advent of Sobig.f worm, which converted open proxy servers to twist into infected machines into spam generating message engines. At some point of time, Sobig.f supposedly reported for 1 in every 17 messages and created more than 1 million replicas of itself within 24 hours. MyDoom email worm, released in 2004. It infected computers through backdoor and thus getting access to the data such as the password and credit card numbers, other financial and personal information. Data shows that MyDoom created copies of itself to 1000 times per minute and supposedly flooded the internet with 100 million infected messages in 36 hours. The state of art in worm technology should have following features: multi-platform, multi-exploit, ultra-fast spreading, polymorphic, zero-day exploit, etc. So, this was all about the worms. Now, let us understand what have we learned today. In summary, having here undoubtedly about malicious code, programs such as viruses, worms and Trojan horses, etc., that had been fixed in various functions in order to annoy, mystify or upset a client, exposes or pinch private information or wipe out data or ability. You must have read in the newspaper or online portals about the special effects and the damages of malicious code. And you may also be conscious that the malicious code is misleading. It arrives without becoming aware of it. It can execute silently, yet its blows can be disturbing and totally unpredictable. Despite the fact that malicious code virus, we had allocated the name universal to biological virus. Predictability is not the common characteristics between the biological virus and the malicious code virus. Irregularity makes distinguish, verify and get rid of the code infection really tricky. Even thought the infection in the first place can be complex or tough. In this lecture, we talked about how malicious code function, and we have also discussed few examples as well. The possibilities are almost limitless, because every now and then the new creators formulate new code for all the time. I hope you understood all about the worms and the viruses, and you would have learned something today. Thanks.